What's up, Jonathan Herring? Working on going down banks as a newer skater. So, we're looking at a couple of things, right? A little bit of side to side. Right, we got some of the speed wobbles going. A little bit of forward and backwards, right? You can see through this, that shift back. Okay, so let's just build this from right here, about halfway down the ramp. This is where the money is made. So you have to understand that you're about to deal with probably 2x your body weight down into the board very soon. So preparing for those G's, we want to make sure your foot position is really good, and we want to make sure you're in the center of the board. Right now, your back foot is off the toe side, a little too far, so that's putting you on your heel. The second thing is you're getting up here, preparing for the ground, but what that's going to do is actually dive you down as you hit the transition, which is going to push even more weight into the board, even more weight into the ground. And on top of this, you're a little bit tentative, so you start to drop back to make sure, I don't know what you're trying to make sure, but you're trying to drop back. So let's make this very simple, okay? I want you to stay low. I want you to stay low through this part, right? None of this raising your hands and stuff. I want you to put ball of your back foot in the center of the tail. I want you to keep your weight over your front foot, and I want you to push into the ground as you're going over this transition and try to float over that bump instead of going down and then diving into the bump. That should help with all of these issues right here. Chris King working on ollies, but check this guy out over here. What the heck? Like, that was a massive 3. Pretty solid. He's got a lot of weight on his front foot. He's doing this thing where you pull really hard and push really hard on your feet. It feels comfortable, but it actually locks you up a little bit. I'd like for him to be able to push on his back foot a little bit more and be able to pick up the front. Overall, super good. All right, Chris King trying to ollie out of this bank. Power stance is phenomenal. He's an athlete, right? We have everything in order. Great foot position. Going up the bank is okay. Late on the pop, right? Look at your front wheels dive down. So that is your answer right there. This is going to pull your weight forward towards the camera, and it's going to kill your pop. You see how you're already nose heavy? That might not even be your fault. That might just be a timing issue, because right here, as your wheels cross this plane, boom, that's going to dive you forward, right? So our goal is to be at the top of your ollie. This is actually quite nice. Everything is pitched up a little bit towards where you're going at the top of your ollie as you start coming down. In the moment that you flatten out should be right before or right as you're touching the ground. Right now you're flattening out and diving through the top, but I honestly think it was just timing. Dean Johnson trying to get these shove-its in order. So what we're looking at here is actually just a little bit of balance and timing. it's not a whole lot that needs to change. Like that one was really good. You can tell maybe a bit of surprise that what the heck is happening. So the first thing that I want you to be comfortable with is lifting the front before throwing the back. Okay, this is a 1-2 process. This isn't just I don't know. I always think about it like lightning in a bottle, but that's not the right saying. So I'm a bit lost with the analogies here. But here seems like you're trying to throw and lift at the same time. Where this second one, where it really releases, you're lifting the front foot and then throwing the back. This is really a beautiful timing. And if you can get that, you're in good shape. All I want you to focus on is instead of just throwing your front foot down at the ground, I want you to trace this front bolt around with your front foot. So right here is actually gonna take longer. You're gonna have to hold your front foot up and over the front bolts as it continues to rotate and just kind of not hunt it down, but think about it like a metal detector. You're just trying to stay over top of the front bolts. Gravity will bring you down, so you don't have to worry about landing on it, because that will happen. Alex England, easily becoming the most improved, and you can tell by the sweat ethic that it's happening. So you're really strong. I think your next step is just trusting that you don't have to squat this much. Like, even if you were trying to like dunk a basketball, I know it's a very American thing to say, but you're trying to like dunk a basketball. Like, I don't know if you'd want to even squat down this much. I feel like you're losing it by going so low. Your balance and weight distribution is really good in the board. The timing of the pop is really good. I think you can learn, and this is hard for me to do as well, but you can learn to start throwing the board forward as you pop, right? So right now it's spinning around your tail. You see how your nose is tracing wide and your tail is kind of staying in one spot? So this is actually going to move the board backwards. So it might be good to think about it like this. There's two different kinds of shove-its. One where you can bring the nose around and one where you can push the tail through. I want you to try one where you're trying to leave the nose where it is and pushing the tail through. It's not actually, the nose isn't actually going to stay where it is, but that's a good way to think about it. Kirsty Martin getting these tail stalls going. I think you're in a really good shape here. So what I like is that you wait till you get all the way up and then you do the tail and come down in one smooth motion. That's most beginners' issue, is they're too early. There needs to be a little bit of umph when you're actually trying to hit the coping. Like I want you to really try to stall it. I feel like you're just looking at it. You're like, oh, this could be a tail stall one day. But you're going to have to be on attack mode a little bit more. So right when you get here, you're going to push your back foot towards the coping a little bit and lift your front foot so much. And it's going to get to the point where you're trying to stand your heel on the actual coping. You can stop thinking about hitting it with your tail and you can start thinking about planting your foot on the actual crossbar. That will give you like something to stand on and it should be a bit stronger. Also, right, speed puts you over the deck. So if you're getting stuck right here and you can't stand them up, you just got to add some speed. Luis Orejuela? working on some board slides. So board slides are difficult, but they're actually quite simple at this stage. So you have a really good line in. That's like the biggest thing, and your ollie is dialed. So we can start focusing on some other things that are really hard for beginners, but you're at the stage where it's really coming along. So I want you to try to do the board slide slightly closer to the back trucks than the front. See how when you're in the board slide, you see how the front trucks are starting to edge towards the rail. The other thing that I want you to do is lean your upper body forward so you can push on your feet but not fall backwards. Okay, so you see right here, it looks like you're straight up, but this is actually leaning back pretty far, and you can tell by the front rail of the board. So what I'm gonna have you do is while you're in the board slide, I want you to bend your knees and to lean your chest way forward. It's okay if your back is like parallel to the ground, okay? While you're in this, you can push your feet forward through the slide, okay? Right now, to push the board through the slide, you're kind of sitting back here, which is great, that works. You can put all your weight on your board and it will slide, but it's impossible to stay over it. So I want you to get your upper body forward, and if you find yourself landing on the rail, sticking and falling forward, that is just fine because you can just run out of it. Go faster, A, and B, feel a little bit just more pressure in your feet, like really push into the slide to get it to move. Don't try to initiate or adjust the slide by leaning your upper body backwards. Mika Molko working on 360 pivots. So it looks like your initiating motion is like up and back, and it actually should be more around. Like I want to see you really ripping, like pushing off your front foot and getting that rotation going, starting fast. And here you can tell that your board is outpacing your body. So this is part of the thing that I was talking about, is you're not actually spinning that fast. So when you hold it, your upper body's getting stuck, right? So we can think about it very simply. Let's just start the spin faster, a little bit more weight on your front foot, and bring this right arm in front of you through the spin. You see how it's falling backwards? That means your upper body is rotating the other way while you're trying to spin. Fast 180s would be beneficial to practice. Carson Mabau getting his heel flips. He's doing this challenge where he does like 100 heel flips every day for the rest of his life. I know that the practice went like a little south because he got busy, but he's definitely come a long way. So let's see where we're at with these frontside 5-0 stalls. So it's actually really hard to do this stationary. Let me come up with a way to explain this really quickly. So I'm going to say do this while moving, because you want to skate at the ledge at a little bit of an angle and then treat it like a 45 or a 20 degree rotation instead of moving yourself forward. So think about it like this. If you skate enough at the ledge and you just do an ollie, you will ollie onto the ledge, right? That's what you want. You'll automatically go over the ledge. Then you do a little bit of rotation and you end up on the coping. Right now, when you're starting sideways, your ollie is this way and you're trying to shift it, like shift a parallel ollie, but that's not what really happens. your goal is pretty much right here as follows. I want you to open up your front shoulder a little bit, and I want you to push the center of your back foot into the edge of the coping. So the center of your back foot will be on the rail of your board and over the coping. Right now, the center of your back foot is like a little bit too much over the tail, so it's forcing you to sit too much on your heel. So you got to shift your foot back just a hair. And opening your shoulder, your front shoulder, looking where you're going, that will help you manage the grind. Sarah Seals, working on some ollies. Wants to be able to ollie up a curb. And I cannot see a single reason why this wouldn't work up a curb. My homework for you is to get out of your own head. Firstly, just like stop. Just stop. Second thing is go super fast and work on ollies like way faster than you ever have. Like top speed, ollies on flat ground. Then you combine those two things together, go fast at a curb and ollie at it. Travis Woods hitting these kick flips. Saying they don't flip all the way. I've seen this happen a couple of times where they flip really slow, and I'm actually not completely sure why. Because everything looks nice, but it's just flipping so slow. I don't know how to flip them this slow with this much of my foot on the board. Like you got your flick foot dialed. I don't know how that works. So what I'm gonna recommend is changing two things, and you give me feedback. Okay. Right now, your flick is very sideways. Okay, and I want your flick to be more forward. Okay, you see when I kick forward how my foot comes up and out, and when I flick sideways, it's a lot easier for me to kick down at the ground. So I think that's what's happening to you on your flick direction. I think it's just weaker because it's sideways and our hips don't really move like that. Secondly, I think you're finding the center of the board with your flick instead of the edge. Okay, I think this is more of a minor problem, but it might help a lot. So by fixing this, you should be able to flick in a more lateral or even upward direction, which is really important. You don't want to flick like down. And I think it'll help you find a little bit more power. Treat it like an actual kick, like you're kicking a soccer ball, or like you're trying to, I don't know, a little more karate kick and less like sideways kickflip idea. Brian Wong's daughter doing frontside grinds. The frontside 50s look really good, so we're okay there. Honestly, like, they look really strong, so I would just ask that you come up with a goal that you want to be able to accomplish with them, and then see if you can do that. You know, maybe it's grinding further, maybe it's like not planting your heel on the ground, things like that. Because just making them, I mean, they look really good. Frontside 50s look good. They're obviously consistent, so I'm not quite sure on what direction you are looking to take this. Leslie Bowden working on some manuals. They look quite strong. You can counter a little bit with your upper body because you're leaning back to get in position, but it's like everything is now like leaning back, right? We can feel like we're standing more straight up, but you can just like shift your hips back, right? And keep your head a little bit more inside. Like this is starting to look better right here. I mean, it actually looks like you're holding it all right. I mean, you're really doing it. So I think it's just understanding that like this is part of the process when it comes to manuals. I think your knees are bent a little bit, but like I wouldn't be afraid of getting down a little bit lower and holding that strength. Like right here is where it all starts breaking down. Like this leg is definitely straight. You're definitely leaning back, right? There's just no way. There's no way around that. So you keep your knees bent. You can shift your board back and forth. You can shift your hips back and forth, and you can shift your upper body back and forth, but everything will stay stacked. When you get to this position here, you're not stacked anymore. Your shoulder has nothing underneath it, right? So one of two things are going to happen. Your shoulder is going to drag you down, or your hips being forward are going to drag you over this foot. There's really no other option, right? This shoulder is dragging you down to the ground because it's not over top of anything. Kaspar Sockman working on some kick flips. So solid, dude. So solid. Let's see what the question is again. So it's about flipping in different foot positions. So he's saying you can only flip it when it's really hanging off the edge. But unfortunately, there's no example of what you're asking. So I can't really help because this kickflip looks great. Jan Van Zoist working on board slides, and it's going to be actually the same tips as we gave earlier on the board slides, so we're just going to do this really quickly. Land closer to your back trucks on the rail. Keep your hips back and your chest down, parallel to the ground. Right now you're leaning back to push your board forward, which is fine, but, well, no, I actually don't like that. I still want you to be able to push your board forward, but also countering with your upper body forward. If you lean back to push your board forward, it's going to shoot out from underneath you. This works at the end of the rail, but this would not feel comfortable back in like this position on the rail. So we need to just get our upper body involved in a big way. Also, you can always drop your feet back a little bit on your board so the balls of your feet are more in the center. Gert Depont doing some hard flips. They look really, really nice. I mean, I'd be surprised if you can't work this out, like with some practice, but some things that I find quite helpful. You can never drop your front foot too low. So you can drop your front foot way down. You can focus on more of a sideways flick and less of a forward. And to get over the board, I just feel like I jump heel side like a front shove. I mean, it makes sense because it is a front shove. Adrian Quinn working on some manuals from the 3-phase program. So we can start just by setting up. Let's get our position a little bit stronger. One of my favorite sayings is there's no excuse not to have an all-star setup. So let's fix that up. Bend both knees just a little bit more. Lean your upper body forward so your chest is more at like a 45-ish degree angle. Right now it's pointing at the horizon. Let's get that down a little bit more at the ground. That'll happen naturally as you bend your knees a little bit. Your back foot, your toes are hanging off the edge, so let's just slide that back foot back so your the ball of your foot is more in the center of the board. You can also do that with your front foot as well. Here it's going to feel like you're a bit on stilts, and that's just because of your foot position. You have to weight your heel just to pick up the front foot, and that doesn't feel like all that mobile. And then now you're noticing how that domino effect really starts to take hold when you just don't have the ability to reference the ball of your foot. When you start your manual, just start it a little bit smaller actually. Keep your front wheels closer to the ground, like right here, and counter that by leaning your upper body a little bit forward and picking up your front foot. You should be able to stay within that range reasonably. You might only be able to hold manuals for 1 to 5 seconds at a time. That's fine. Everyone has seemed to find it beneficial to practice manuals for a shorter duration daily.